The Walt Disney Company is a giant, diversified conglomerate. Their reach is astounding. So I question fellow investors' willingness to keep supporting a company who, with a snap of their fingers, could change the entire narrative of divisiveness in not just this country, but around the world. Why are we supporting a company that is willing to make far less money in every facet of their operation? I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, hiss and foes, welcome to the Culture Casino.
Publicly traded entities have a responsibility to their stockholders. That responsibility not only includes that they drive to realize the greatest earnings possible, it also includes fair dealings and financial disclosures. Currently, the Walt Disney Company is under investigation for violating financial reporting requirements. The person who blew the whistle on them was able to provide enough evidence to open an investigation into the performance and reporting of all of their business interests. An interesting and largely ignored story in the last few years is the reports of graft during the construction of the Shanghai Disney Resort. Financial investigation into that matter at the time was set aside for some reason, but the ongoing SEC inquiry that is happening right now is likely to include this element as well. When you invest in a company, the board of directors owes the highest possible duty to you. This duty is described as fiduciary. This means that they are to act in a way that puts the investors' interests above their own. This means that the officers that are in charge also owe the same duty to the investors as well. Currently, and for several years now, the company has not been operated in a manner that reflects this key element of a publicly traded company. Since the beginning of 2020, the Disney Company has been undermining its own interests and that of its investors by participating in social engineering actions that have led to dramatic losses in the company's earnings, or at the minimum, the dramatic underperformance of the company's earnings. They've adopted a political ideology, or ideologies, that continue to alienate an increasing number of their loyal customer base. Now, they have allowed their news organization to misrepresent or ignore facts in favor of a narrative storytelling with political agenda. In every segment of their operation, the company continues to divide and even harass their revenue sources, otherwise known as customers. It is with that in mind that I cover a couple of different stories today. First up is a quick blurb about Orlando and its current concerns with tourism. It seems that even a couple weeks after the reopening of the Walt Disney World theme parks, hotel occupancy is down more than 60%. That is area-wide. It is estimated that between 82% and 86% of the Orlando area residents are in some way employed in the area's tourism or the tourism industry. As the theme park division and the Disney Company has in recent years carried the company earnings, the success of the Disney theme parks around the world is key. Not to mention that the success of the surrounding communities is fairly reliant upon the Walt Disney Corporation. As a person who recently traveled to Orlando and visited the Walt Disney World theme parks, amongst other places, I can say that not only did I feel safe at the parks and resorts, but I also felt safe in my air travel as well. With this experience, I can say I am disappointed with the ABC News organization and that they have not gone out of their way to do legitimate journalism on the reporting of issues related to the beer bug. It also looks as if they are a complicit entity in incomplete or misinformation rather than an organization that is in the pursuit to expose those things. This is clearly against the best interest of the investors, and it should be called into question very clearly in the August 4th earnings call, which will reveal staggeringly bad numbers. The second item is to reveal how outside entities are interfering or are attempting to interfere with corporate earnings. In this case, it might be the governor of Florida setting rules for travels to places like Florida and Walt Disney World. From the article, visiting Florida? Go directly to the hotel. No Disney World for 14 days. Florida is a favorite destination for the capital region vacationers. The families historically flocking there, even in summer, when low prices and school breaks allow for trips to Disney World, the beaches, and countless other hotspots in Florida. But this year, it looks like New Yorkers headed for attractions like Disney World will have to stare at the Magic Kingdom from their hotel windows if they aren't willing to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. With New York, one of the 3 tri-state beer bug hotspots, the state of Florida months ago said that anyone coming from here, which would be New York, Connecticut, or New Jersey, would have to quarantine themselves for 14 days before going out in public. This means that vacationers are supposed to stay in their hotels or in their grandparents' or parents' homes for 2 weeks before sampling the tourist destinations. As a result, few people are traveling to places like Orlando right now, said Jean Gaillon, president of Plaza Travel Agency. We normally have a lot of families that would go to Walt Disney World in the summer. That stopped, she explained, adding that they've all postponed until another time. And while Disney World has reopened on a limited basis, many of the hotels in the area are closed and offering reduced numbers of rooms to maintain social distancing. The extent to which people are actually quarantining themselves in the Sunshine State, however, remains an open question after checking with officials there and with travelers who have recently been to Florida. The story goes on to talk about the fact that there have been many visitors from the tri-state area, that would be the New York area, that are essentially arriving and moving about freely and enjoying their vacations as they normally would, which could be argued is probably a good thing. They largely are rejecting the 2-week quarantine period and find themselves in the position of possibly violating some kind of order. However, there doesn't seem to be any enforcement involved. This article goes on to break down the fact that many of these folks traveled to and from Florida recently in order to enjoy their vacations as they would normally. My argument is I don't know how you would enforce this or police this in any way, so I'm not sure why anybody would even report on it since it's clearly not being taken seriously. But beyond that, using artificial police action in one's own state is bad enough, and enforcing those actions on another is something else entirely. These types of actions to influence the operations of other states or businesses are borderline unconscionable, and believe me, they're being attempted. And to those of you that are stating defund the police and saying that that's a good thing, you are missing the entire point of such a measure. Your government, your governor, is seeking to expand policing powers under the guise of support for these so-called measures. That's not a good thing. Returning to the point of this actual video, however, there is real danger when companies and state leaders attempt to operate outside of their stated roles. They can have undue influence over events or policies that have nothing to do with their business or the governance of their local community or state. There should be dire consequences for both of those. Corporate executives and board members should take action to force compliance with the corporation's duties to their investors, and otherwise the board of directors themselves should be ousted and a new slate of board members should be elected. The same holds true for elected officials who are executives in their own right and title. Voters should call for referendum or similar action when there is a failure of leadership, or they should change their representation by voting during the next election cycle. At the end of the day, it's only customers, constituencies, or the cadres of investors that can actually force change in the future to protect their interests and possibly their freedom. I guess this story was a little more dense than I normally like to report, but it seems poignant to point out that not just the Walt Disney Company, but many other corporate ventures are not acting in a way that they're actually prescribed to by their bylaws and the laws of being a corporation. It's incredibly frustrating when you interact with a conglomerate that isn't willing to perform in the way that they are directed to. Think about this. the more that we have companies that are unwilling to support the interests of increased earnings, that is a requirement under their formation, and they are ignoring their responsibilities to their investors, the more we're going to have to deal with, outright activism on the parts of these entities that are, again, supposed to be earning revenue from any and every customer that they can acquire. Regardless, thanks for tuning in here today. I truly appreciate it. Be sure to support other independent creators, as there are a lot of voices out there in the world and they all need your support. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, and until next time, and hopefully in a little more lighthearted way, we'll have a good video. But next time, until then, bye-bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.